So we're going to talk a little bit about how to use the Google Inspector tool here. So it's pretty easy. So the first thing you do is you just right click anywhere on the page, and then you go down to this inspect button. Once you click on this inspect button, this brings up the Google Inspector tool. So as you can see here, there's a bunch of different source code. This is HTML and CSS that makes up this page. You can drag it like this by just holding down your left button, your left mouse button, and you just drag it like this so you can see on any different component what that actually is. And you can do this for any web page. So any web page, you can just go in and then see their actual source code. So this is a pretty cool feature just to be checking out other web pages. But we're going to use it here for a different aspect, which is this console button here. So if you go to this console button, this allows you to use actual JavaScript and run JavaScript code here. So for now, we're just going to press this clear console button, this little button right here. Just get rid of that. We're going to X those out. Now we have a clean working JavaScript command line. So the first thing we're going to do is our Hello World project. So this is just like running real JavaScript, except you can do it on any web browser. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to type in alert, parentheses, and then quotations. You can either use single quotes or double quotes here. Hello world, I love Uprise University. And you just have to end it with double quotes if you started with double quotes, or end it with single quotes if you started with single quotes. And another parentheses, and then a semicolon. So just to review, it's alert, then a parentheses, then double quotations, then the text that you want the user to see, another double quotation, parentheses, and a semicolon. So once you make sure you have all this correct, you can then press the return key, and it'll pop up this to the user. Hello world, I love Uprise University. And this Hello World project is basically the first project that you'll learn in pretty much any new language that you learn, whether it's JavaScript or HTML or Python. It's just a super basic, easy to use program just to make sure that whatever language you're using, you can actually make it work. And you just press OK, and that's the first project. So the next project, we're going to be doing something slightly more interesting. Before we get to that, I'm just going to show you a little bit about some of the different calculator functions that you can use here. And again, this is just using actual JavaScript programming in this console. And it's going to run the same way that it would run in any other setting. So you can run a JavaScript file locally or in this console, and it'll behave exactly the same. So just to start off, we'll just do 2 plus 2. And as you can see here, it's already showing us what the answer is going to be if we press the return button. So if we press return, sure enough, it's 4. And we can try out 2 times 3, and same thing, 6. Now we can do this for basically any function that we want. So I won't go into all the different functions, but just for fun, we can do 100 minus 20. We can do 20 times 3. Or we can do 2 to the power of 3. And to do that, we just do the little multiplication sign twice, and that's going to get us 8. If you do it times 2 to the 4th, that gets us 16. To the 5th, 32. To the 10th, 1024. So again, this is just a cool, clever little way to see how the programming actually works. Another thing I'll show quickly here is how to declare a variable. So if we just declare var, and that just declares a new variable, x equals 3, and then semicolon, that'll basically take a new variable called x and assign a value of 3 to it. Then we can have another variable, fy equals 2. Same thing. And don't worry about this undefined here. This is basically just saying that nothing's happening when you assign it. It's just assigning the variable 2 to y and 3 to x. So now these variables have been declared and assigned values. So now we can do x plus y, and that returns us the number 5. So this is a good way to store information in variables. And we'll be using this more in the next project. All right, so the next project, just to make this a little easier, we're gonna go up here and press this little clear console button again. And what we're going to try now is try to greet the user with something a little bit more interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the prompt function, which asks the user for information and gives them a prompt. What is your name? Again, make sure you prompt parentheses. You can use double quotations or single quotations here, another parentheses, and then semicolon. I press return. This is going to ask me for my name. Put in John. And that's all it does for now. So now what we want to do is use that information and store it somewhere so that we can actually use it. So we're going to declare a new variable called name, var name, and we're going to do the same prompt again, parentheses, what is your name, semicolon. So what this is going to do is it's going to declare a new variable called name, and then it's going to set it equal to whatever the user puts in after we prompt them for their name. So we're going to press enter and type in John. And now when we type in the variable name, it's going to return us John. So that shows you that that variable is now assigned the value of John, which is what the user put in. So now to then use that variable and send it back to the user with a more interesting greeting, what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite that first command. So a simple way to do that is if you just press the up arrow, that can get you to what you did before. And then instead of running this code, we're going to press command return. Oop, that ran the code. So we're going to try that again. We're going to press up, and then we're going to press, let's see, option return. Nope, control return. Let's see, shift return, that's the one. All right, so then we're going to press shift plus return. That'll get us to the next line. And we're going to use this variable name and say alert. And then we're going to do, it is great to meet you. And then we're going to use this plus sign and then name. So what this is going to do is it is going to say, it's great to meet you, John. And this is a string, which we're going to get to in a little bit, but we're going to concatenate that with whatever is stored in the variable name. So this is going to say, it's great to meet you, and whatever the user puts in their name. Then we're going to press return here. We're going to put in Bob. When we press OK, it is great to meet you, Bob. So our program worked.